Good morning, Shaneka Taylor.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everyone in Forrestal Real Estate, and good morning, everyone in our Facebook group, Homeland, Ontario Realtors for Realtors, trying to provide tools and info for being better agents. Shaneka, do you know why it was so interesting to talk to you?
I don't know. Tell me, please.
First of all, because you're very unique and you're one of our, whoever doesn't know, one of the first agents that joined us at Forrestal Downtown. And you're being consistently producing deals every single year. And you're doing well. And we're so proud to have you. And the secret is that some agents are not realizing that you're also a full-time corporate lawyer. And
I am a full-time litigator. Yes.
Full-time litigator.
Yes.
Successful lawyer as well. And to me, the big mystery is, how do you do it? And I realize, and I'm not sure if anyone has done a study about it, but I realize that many agents, for different reasons, are not full-time agents. Now, I always promote the fact, and that's the truth, I always promote the fact that if you want to be super successful, you should be working full-time, but it does work for you. And I want to know how and what are the guidelines. And one of the reasons is a lot of new agents, sometimes they're afraid to jump into the water and become full-time agents. So they still have their day jobs as in the background. And I think sometimes it prevents them from being successful.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
I can see that, but I think for everyone, it's different. It's different where you're starting from. It's different what you have going on in your life. You know, for me, I started out as a lawyer. So I was called to the bar in 2011. And I've been practicing as a litigator ever since then. And I became a real estate agent in 2013. And it was just the circumstances in my life at the time. We were transitioning from one home to another, and we had engaged with a realtor, my husband and I, and we just weren't happy with the service that was being provided. And just my personality, I just thought one day, you know, I could have done a better job at it. So I said, you know, let me look into what it's going to take to do this. And I did. And so I started out, as I said, in 2013, joined Forest Hill right out the gate. I've been there ever since. And as you said, I've been doing deals every year. And now I have a team, my husband and I. He recently joined the brokerage too. So, and so we work as a team doing things together, deals together. And it works great. But, to your point, you know, when some agents start out, they perhaps start out in a part-time position because they may have financial obligations that may not allow them to start out full-time, right? There may be fear of the unknown, of not knowing, okay, can I get clients? Can I do deals? Can I really do this? And so I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to start out doing it part-time and eventually transition, if that's what you want to do, to full-time. But I do think it really depends on the person and their personal circumstance.
Just what comes to my mind, the fact that maybe financially you have the security and you're calmer, would that maybe contribute to your success? Because I always looked at you, you always handled everything in a mature way, never panic, you're always professional. Maybe the fact that you're calmer and you're not depending only on that actually contributed to you?
Perhaps. There's positives and negatives to everything. I could say that definitely could be seen as why I do what I do, but on the other side, if I was doing it full time, maybe my hustle would be different because now I'm depending on it for my livelihood, for my full livelihood, right? So maybe I definitely be doing things differently, but you do have a good point.
I have so many questions, by the way, for you now. So let's start with the first one. As a litigator, but honest questions, straightforward questions. As a litigator, I'm sure that your legal background and your background as a litigator itself probably helps you with the negotiation skills and understanding the deal itself. Does it?
It definitely does. It definitely does, and I see the difference between how I practice real estate versus other agents. And again, with everything, it's good and bad. At times, I can be overly analytic with a deal, and wanting to make sure I get the perfect clauses in, and very legalistic. And then at the flip time, because I litigate and I have to negotiate with clients and with opposing counsel every day, my negotiation skills are pretty good. And I tend to think of things on a meta basis. So I am very strategic. Okay, this is how I anticipate this negotiation is going to go. This is where we're going to start. This is what's going to be the next step. So I plan it all out in my head well in advance of going into a transaction. And that comes from my legal background. And because of that, I'm able to assist clients in preparing them and go into a transaction to say, okay, this is how I anticipate it's going to go. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right.
And naturally, when a legal question comes up, I'm sure you probably feel like you know better than most other agents. You would know how to handle it, right? I've been there. I've seen you. I know questions came up, and I've seen you smiling and just responding with calmly.
Yeah, well, I've learned a few things over the years. As I said, now that I've been in real estate for a few years now, part of my practice as a litigator revolves around real estate litigation. So I do a lot of that type of work now. And the two areas really dovetail quite well. So my practice as a real estate agent versus my practice as a litigator. And I get approached practically daily by buyers, sellers, real estate agents, trying to figure out either how to get out of a transaction or how to enforce a transaction, or simply, how do I interpret this particular clause that's in my agreement? So it really definitely helps. I am always researching different areas in real estate. I'm combing through case law practically on a weekly basis. I write a column every month for a real estate magazine. So I'm always sharpening my skills as it pertains to real estate, because it helps me both on my legal side and on my transactional side.
But, most agents are branding themselves. Most professionals are branded. I'm branded as a real estate agent, real estate broker. You're branded as what? So how do people in your community, they know you? Are you the Shaneka the lawyer, or are you Shaneka the real estate agent?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. I think majority of people will see me as Shaneka the lawyer. And then those that know that I do real estate will know me as that. Personally, when I do my branding, I try to cross-brand. So if you look at my profile on my law firm website, you'll see that I'm a real estate agent as well. And it talks about some of the real estate experience that I have. And I do the same thing on my real estate side. I talk about the fact that I'm a lawyer and how that helps me on a transactional basis.
I like it. So when we had a discussion just before this live session, and you said, Meir, there are 3 principles that guide me and lead me to success, to a successful schedule, and the fact that I'm able to manage to do both. And I'll also mention that you have a family. You have a family, you have a husband, you have a daughter. I mean, you're busy. I know you are. You're very busy. So what? And you're still smiling. What are the 3 elements that you spoke about, the guidelines that guide you?
Yeah, sure. So there are 3 things that, when I was thinking about the topic for this discussion, which is balancing a full-time career with real estate, what are the 3 things that came to the top of my mind? And the first was leveraging my strength. So, and I'd say to anyone who's interested in real estate as a profession, that you really, and they have a 9-to-5 job, that whatever it is that you do on a full-time basis, don't neglect those skills, right? Don't neglect what you've learned from that experience and how you can leverage those skills into your real estate career, whether it's being an effective problem solver or a great negotiator. Find out what those skills are and use them to your advantage in real estate. The second thing that I thought of was, building a team of other professionals around you. That's the flip side of the coin of knowing your strengths, right? You also have to know what your limitations are and acknowledge that you don't know everything, right? We all need help from time to time. I do not have an eye for design, and I could be a lot better with numbers, right? So I make sure that I cultivate around me a group of professionals that I can use in their respective fields, such as stagers, renovators, mortgage brokers, financial advisors, real estate lawyers, appraisers. The list goes on and on. So, building that team
So
of professionals.
like a tool, so you have like a toolbox, basically.
Exactly.
You surround yourself with a toolbox that you can leverage on and utilize their abilities and knowledge.
Exactly.
And you're becoming more efficient that way as well, I guess.
Precisely. And it saves you a lot of time from trying to figure out, okay, how do I solve this problem for this client, when you can just draw on your network to help you, right? And then the last thing that I thought about was, making sure that you're being purposeful with your time. If you're juggling multiple careers, it's even more important that you carve out dedicated time each day to focus on growing your real estate business, right? Where possible, outsource tasks that you don't have to do. So whether that means getting a social media person to manage your social media content, or perhaps getting a part-time or flexible assistant to help you with scheduling. Personally, I rely very heavily on my calendar. That pretty much governs my life. So everything that I have to do is plotted in my calendar, and I assign blocks of time. Okay, for this hour, I'm focusing on this, and then so that's how I carve out my time. And then the last thing that I thought about was, if you're trying to be purposeful with your time and you're doing it not on a full-time basis, perhaps think of creating a niche for yourself in real estate. Maybe that's in doing leases when you start out and you develop that body of expertise or that body of clients. Or maybe it's working in a particular geographical area, so farm in a particular area. And that gives you the opportunity to know that area very well in the limited amount of time that you have to focus on your real estate business.
But real estate is a business. I always say that agents, when we wake up in the morning, we never know what the day is going to look like.
Yeah.
A day full of surprises, right? Sometimes clients call, you have a listing, somebody else calls, like you have so many challenges that just happen and you don't expect them. How do you deal with it? Because you have a full-time job. If somebody calls you and wants to see a property right in the middle of the day, what do you do?
So that's what I was alluding to earlier, the fact that I rely on my team to help me. So now my team is my husband and myself. We're Team Taylor from a real estate perspective. So the way we structure our business is I deal with the back-end legal aspect of things, so drafting the agreement, negotiating the transaction. Well, he will do the showings and booking appointments and doing the stuff on the field. From time to time, he may have to do a bit of what I do, and I have to do a bit of what he does. But we have a system in place. I guess that's at the end of the day, you need to develop a system that works for you, and for us, that's our system.
That's amazing. You sort of created your system. It sounds like you created a list of priorities. That's what you do. You manage priorities. That's what it is. And you delegate to others what you don't do best. You focus on what you do best, and you prioritize everything else and delegate everything else.
Exactly. And in my experience, very rarely anything in real estate is urgent. There's usually enough time built out that you can schedule things in. So whether it's a showing or an offer presentation, at least a bit ahead of time that you can prepare appropriately. So in our case, it could be getting childcare for our daughter, when we need to work on a deal in the night, right? Or it's ordering takeout when we know we can't cook tonight because we need to focus on putting together an offer. So it's really about getting a system in place and working that system.
How does your day look like? You wake up in the morning, you go to the office, but you're still a real estate agent. It sounds so busy.
Yeah, so my day is very busy. Depends on the week, depends on the month. Right now I'm in court a lot, and thankfully it's virtual court, so that's great. I'd say a lot of my evenings and weekends I spend focusing on real estate, right? I try to focus on my day job during the day, be a mom when my daughter comes home from school, and then after she goes down, I may put in an hour or two more of work, and so you just make it work. However you figure.
Do you ever consider letting go one of your jobs?
about it from time to time. I'm not there yet, though.
You know what? I don't dare to ask you, but I always want to ask you, where do you feel that you feel more satisfied, and where you make more income for the effort that you're putting it in? But you don't need to answer that. It's just something but it's just something that comes into my mind. Shaneka, you're great. Thank you so much. I think the main point are the 3 elements that you spoke about. That's what I take with me. And I actually think those 3 elements should follow anyone, whether you work full-time or not.
No, I agree. And,
focus on your advantage. Yeah, focus on your advantages. Surround yourself with a team, basically, right? With a team of your toolbox, a team of knowledgeable professionals, and manage your time. Prioritize.
Yep. And there are a lot more things that I could talk about, but I think those 3 are the key things that really help in my practice anyway.
And how much of your community and work are related, which means how many leads do you get from your work as a lawyer versus how many leads do you get from your community as friends and neighbors? Which one is more of a lead generation? Where do you get more business?
I think when I started out, a lot of it was through the brokerage. You and Vicky were great when I started out, and giving me deals to get me going. And then from that, I developed a network of referrals. So clients that I had in the past, who I making sure that I kept in touch with, that helped me and referred me to others. People in the legal community that know that I do real estate, they'll refer clients to me. So it's a mixed bag, really. Gotcha.
Shaneka Taylor, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's great seeing you. We don't get together as much anymore because of COVID.
I know.
Okay, hope you're going to have a great day. Thank you so much for everyone who was watching. Forstel agents and everyone in our group of Homeland, Ontario Realtors for Realtors. Hope you have a great day. I've learned so much today.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.